What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Night Owl channel. Welcome back to another top 10 video, where in this one I'm going to be counting down the top 10 most underrated characters within the Dynasty Warriors series. These are characters that kind of fly under the radar. They're not as popular, but I think they deserve a little bit more recognition than they get within the games or within the fan base themselves. Now, some of you watching may recognize and understand their contributions, but in terms of an overall overarching kind of thing, I think these are the top 10 that I think don't really get as much recognition as they should. Before we jump into the top 10, I'm going to start off with a few honorable mentions. We're going to jump right into it with the first one here, and that's going to be Mr. Wei Yan. So I think Wei Yan is a 100% underrated character. He's definitely underestimated, and the way he's presented in the game does not help at all. But being, I think, the only character to rise to the highest rank under Liu Bei's command, and then the plethora of accolades he's done underneath his command, definitely earns him an honorable mention. Then up next, I have Fa Zhang. A similar case to Wei Yan. I think he is a little bit underrated in the sense that because his content is so little, being highly regarded and trusted by Liu Bei, it was to the point where even Zhuge Liang said that if Fa Zhang hadn't died before the Battle of Yiling, the entire outcome of that battle would have been completely different. And then finishing up with Lu Su, I think similarly to Fa Zhang, I think he plays a very low-key, not very popular kind of character, but I think he deserved a little bit more because of what he was able to accomplish during his lifetime and the respect that he got from a lot of his peers. But with that being said, that's all I have for the honorable mentions. We're going to jump into the top 10 most underrated characters within the game. Again, you guys watching might be like, yeah, he's not that underrated, but these are going to be my picks from an overarching, big kind of point of view in terms of the fan base, in terms of popularity. These are characters that you wouldn't really necessarily go to or think of when it comes to like popular characters within the game, if that makes sense. Anyways, go ahead and jump right into the top 10. Alright, starting off with number 10, we're going to start off with Mr. Hang Tong, the fledgling Phoenix. So I think he's a great choice for an underrated character, not only in the terms of his historical contributions, intelligence, or whatever it may be, his strategies, but also I think underrated in the sense that his moveset within the game is also pretty fun, and it's pretty overpowering, especially in the earlier games when we're much more difficult than they are now. Pang Tong had a lot of easy moves. You could really cheese through a lot of the stages because of how powerful he was, and I think he is 100% underrated character, not just in the fact that second to Zhuge Liang, or he's not the main strategist from the Shu Kingdom. His lifespan was so short that it's hard to really see how much he really contributed, but I also think he's underrated in the sense that his moveset from the earlier games was definitely slept on, one of the more powerful ones, and that's why Pang Tong for me is coming in at number 10. Alright, next up, coming in at number 9, we have one of the 5 elite generals of Wei, Mr. Eugene himself. Just because he's not a quote-unquote popular character, because of what he did in history and what he contributed up until the Battle of Fawn Castle, he didn't lose. I don't think he lost a single battle. He had a lot of really good accolades, a lot of really good things. He became an elite general of Wei. He's one of the 5 out of like thousands of generals that Wei had, and he was one of those people. So I think maybe because of the way he's presented in the games, or maybe because of his history or the way he ends, or maybe just him, not being a real exciting character, which of course makes him not that popular. But yeah, I think Eugene's a solid choice at number 9. He's definitely 100% underrated because of the way he's presented, and like I've already said, I think he goes under the radar for most users. Alright, next up, moving into number 8, we have another elite general of Wei making the list, Mr. Xu Huang himself. So similar to Eugene, they don't have a very loud personality. They don't really stick out, you know, they fit where they need to be, they do their job, and that's pretty much it. And that's why I think Xu Huang is 100% underrated. He's a very humble, powerful general. He's one of the best from the Wei Kingdom. Very, very powerful, very strong. But I think in terms of the fan base, in terms of popularity, I think Xu Huang kind of flies under the radar. I think he's not that notable. He's not very stand out-ish, right? He's definitely not going to be in the top 5 most popular Wei generals, and I think that's why he's 100% underrated. He was one of the best generals under the Wei Kingdom, and because of his humbleness and his kind of low-keyness, he doesn't really stick out much, but he was noted as one of the 5 elite generals of Wei, and yet I think he doesn't get as much highlight on him as I think he should. I mean, Xu Huang is the guy who ends up beating Guan Yu at the Battle of Fawn Castle, but that kind of flies under the radar too because Xiahou Dun takes that spot from him in the games. So 100% I think Xu Huang is a little underrated, and I think that's why he's a great choice here at number 8. Alright, next up, coming in at number 7, we have Xiahou Yuan. Maybe because he gets overshadowed by, of course, Xiahou Dun, and then later on you see him tag teaming with like Zhang He, and I don't think he's that popular. He's got a semi-loud personality, especially when they start to really dig into his friendship and relationship with Zhang He. But other than that, I mean, he's got his simple weapon, he's got the bow and rod. He's not a very outstanding character. He doesn't really stand out really at all, and I think that makes him underrated. He's one of the best generals under Cao Cao, one of the most trusted, obviously, being related to him and Xiahou Dun. But out of the 3, I think he's the one that takes the hit. He's the one that isn't as popular. I think Xiahou Yuan definitely goes under the radar for most people. I think the majority of the fan base playing a new Dynasty Warriors, and you have the first 3, Xiahou Dun, Cao Cao, and Xiahou Yuan. I think Xiahou Yuan's getting picked 5% of the time. He's not getting picked very much. And that what he did within history and what he represents and everything that he accomplished underneath Cao Cao, I think speaks volumes for him. And I think that's why he's a great choice here at number 7 for one of the most underrated characters within the Dynasty Warriors series. Alright, coming in at number 6, Xiahou Yuan's not going to like this, but I just think he's a little bit more underrated, and that's going to be one of the 5 Tiger Generals of Shu, Huangzhong, right? One of the 5 Tiger Generals of Shu, among the best. Again, he doesn't really stand out. He has a loud personality, very brash. You know when he's there, he has his outspoken mannerisms, but for the most part, he flies under the radar. He got Huangzhong, Zhao Yun, and I don't know, Ma Chao to pick from. You're not picking Huangzhong. You're not playing him unless you are a die-hard Huangzhong fan. Huangzhong is a 100% underrated character. One of the older characters within the game who holds his own against the young generals and officers of the time. And he was able to hold his own. He was doing just fine. Like out of all the 5 Tiger Generals, who doesn't belong? Who kind of like doesn't fit? It's Huangzhong. You have Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Zhao Yun, and Ma Chao. 4 of the most popular characters from the Shu Kingdom. And then you have Huangzhong. And he is 100% one of the most underrated characters within this game. I think he's a great choice here at number 6. Alright, starting off the top 5, we've got probably one of the best generals from the Wu Kingdom, but he's 100% under the radar for most people, and that's going to be Huang Gai. So, I don't think Huang Gai gets a lot of the recognition I think he deserves. It was noted that he was part of the obscure group called the Magnificent Five underneath Sun Jian. So again, he is noted, at least during Sun Jian's time, to be one of the best generals of his time, and he served for a very, very long time. He served 3 generations of the Wu Kingdom. He's a great mentor and role model to the younger generation coming up, and I'm sure within the game they do a decent job of showing that, the respect that they have for this character and everything like that. But again, you stack him up with some characters from Wu. You got Huang Gai, Sun Jian, and I don't know, Sun Ce to pick from. You're not picking Huang Gai. If you stack him up with Cheng Pu and Hong Dong, you got a really good shot there, but you're putting Huang Gai up against some of the more popular characters of Wu, and he's fallen short. Again, he did a lot for the Wu Kingdom. He, partakes in the Battle of Chi-Bi, where he does, the famous fire attack, and I think that's why he's a great choice here at the top 5. Definitely an underrated, way more under the radar versus the other characters, because as soon as he does his thing at the Battle of Chi-Bi, I mean, what else do we really hear from him? He's just in the background supporting, similar to Shu Huang, right? He's there to fit in. He does what he has to do, and he moves on. But I think he flies under the radar. I don't think he's a favorite of most people. I think he definitely 100% deserves a lot more recognition. To definitely get some more content for him. He's not an underdeveloped character, but he just needs more things to do. I think he deserves a lot more than what he has right now. And that's why he's going to start off the top 5 for me personally. Alright, next up, coming in at number 4, we have, honestly, an extremely underrated character. He really grew on me in the last game. That's going to be Mr. Ma Dai. So, Ma Dai coming in at number 4, I think is an excellent choice. I think he really takes on the role after Ma Chao and some of the older generals are passing away, of leading and becoming like a main staple general. He takes that really, really well. And I think he goes under the radar because, one, he was giving a weapon that I don't think many people are going to really flock to play. Nobody's going to want to use a paintbrush in battle, right? He's just not a very appealing character to really look at. He's not the best looking character or anything like that. His outfit doesn't stand out to you. He's not wearing anything crazy. He doesn't do anything too crazy, but he's a very just grounded, level-headed general, and he's just there to help, right? He's there to lead and trying to get a notch closer to making Liu Bei's dream come true. I liked him in Dynasty Warriors 9. I think he did a great job with him. He got super involved with everything, but I don't think that's going to raise his popularity for anyone. I don't think that did anything for him. So 100%, I think he's definitely more unrecognized than a lot of the other characters, especially his own peers and stuff like that. And I think that's why he's a great choice here, right before we hit the top 3. Alright, next up, coming in at number 3. Probably one of the best, well-balanced overall characters who I don't think really gets much recognition at all, and that's why he's starting off the top 3. That's going to be Mr. Deng Ai. Alright, so Deng Ai coming in, one of the later generals of the story of the games. Dynasty Warriors 9, I think he gets like 1 or 2 chapters. A lot of those characters don't get much playtime. Dynasty Warriors 8, he does not get much playtime. But if you read about Deng Ai, this character is pretty amazing. He does a lot of really good things for the Wei Kingdom, or the Jin Kingdom, however you want to look at that, but he does a lot of really good things. He initiates the fall of the 3 kingdoms, and he's extremely smart. He had the knowledge of the agricultural systems. He, understood battle really well, understood formations. He could read maps really well. He's a very underrated character. Deng Ai is a really good character. He's strong and smart, and I think a lot of people kind of underestimate him because in the first game he was given the siege spear. He was alright, right? It's a little ridiculous, but he had it. And then in this game they give him Shu Huang's weapon, which is, it's another alright weapon, and it kind of plays into him. He's this big guy. They made him this really big guy, and they give him a really big weapon, and that's it. You don't really expect much from him. You don't really see much from him. He's similar to like Huang Gai and Shu Huang, and just there to do his job, and he does it really, really well. I don't even think he has any recordings of losing at any point. He is just on point with what he does, and he seems to get the job done well every single time. I think he 100% flies under the radar for most people, and I think that's why he's a great choice here, number 3. Deng Ai, 100%, one of the most underrated characters within the game. Alright, next up, coming at number 2, we have Jia Shu. Alright, 100% underrated. Even I underrate this character a little bit as well. I underestimate him for how smart, intelligent, how much of a genius this character really is. Definitely an underrated, underestimated strategist within the Dynasty Warriors series. He is one of the smartest characters. He has come up with some of the best strategies for Cao Cao's forces. And then he's one of the few characters that actually escaped the chaos unscathed, right? I think he spent the remainder of his days kind of in like a quote-unquote retirement kind of position. He's just chilling with his family away from the chaos. One of the most underrated geniuses in the game, and I like that they kind of involved him more in Dynasty Warriors 9. I like that his contribution and his involvement and importance skyrocketed. Like it got a lot higher. Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, they also integrated him pretty well. And he's an interesting character to watch. I love seeing how he interacts with Cao Cao and some of the other characters, and him kind of loosen up a little bit. He starts off as this untrusted, unworthy, why is he here kind of character, and develops into one of the most crucial characters for Cao Cao's kingdom. Guo Jia trusts him implicitly, so that means Cao Cao's going to trust him implicitly. They become best friends, him and Guo Jia, and then Guo Jia passes away, gives him the reins to everything, and I think he does it well, right? And I like in Dynasty Warriors 9 how that's a complete arc for him, because he was pointing at Sima Yi like, you know, I don't know about you. There's something about you I don't like, and I don't know what it is. 100% one of the most underrated characters in the Dynasty Warriors series, not just as a strategist, but as a character as well. The only thing I don't really like about the character is his weapon style, like I talk about in his analysis video. But for the most part, 100% underrated. He flies under the radar for most people. And I know some people in the comments are going to be like, nah, Jiashu's awesome, right? But if you look at the overall fan base, you take Guo Jia, Jiashu, and I don't know, Lu Xun, who do you think they're going to pick the most out of those three, right? Guo Jia won. He was the #1 popular character in one of the polls from like, 4 or 5 years ago. So Jiashu is definitely among the lowest when it comes to popularity, but that's what makes him so underrated. And finally, coming in at #1, my personal pick for the #1 most underrated character within the Dynasty Warriors series is the epitome of defensive commanding in Dynasty Warriors. And that's going to be Mr. Cao Ren. He's not a 5 elite general. He's not anything quote-unquote special in Cao Cao's forces. And that's why he is the #1 underrated character. He has had so many instances of successfully defending off the Wu forces, or people running after Cao Cao, or the Battle of Fan Castle, the Battle of Nanjun. Cao Ren is just so underrated in the fact that he is one of the best commanders and leaders in the era itself, but he goes under the radar. He is not popular. He had a badass weapon in the earlier games, and they shedded that, and now he's got a flail, which is not fun to play with at all. But I love his personality. He's humble, he's to himself, and he has a very interesting arc. He's got a very interesting background as well, right? He came from a ruffian, bandit kind of behavior, turning into one of the most disciplined defensive commanders in the era of the Dynasty Warriors series. So for me, 100% the #1 most underrated character is Cao Ren. I think he's underrated in his commanding abilities, being a leader, being someone of importance to this, to the kingdom of Wei, and being really a threat to people trying to get through whatever he's defending. Cao Ren 100% is my pick for the most underrated character within the Dynasty Warriors series, right? So that's pretty much all I have, guys. These are my top 10 most underrated characters in my opinion. These are characters you're not picking these guys. You put them up against some of the other characters, they're falling short. From the older popularity polls I've seen, I don't think they've done one in a long time. They're not up there. They're in the middle, they're towards the bottom. They're not sharing the podium with some of these other popular characters. They're falling short. And that's what makes them so underrated, because everybody on this list is so talented or strong, or whatever it is in their particular field, they are good at it, or their contribution to their kingdom was outstanding, but they fall short in terms of popularity or recognition. But that's all I have for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely appreciate a like, comment, or subscribe. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos, and if you have any questions or comments, let me know down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.